Good morning.
Good morning.
We got there in the end.
We did. I'm just going to do a quick hi everyone on the Facebook community. I'm just on live on Instagram Live with my friend and business friend Louipa Virtual Solutions. So I wonder if you can see us. If you can see us, come and find us over on Instagram. We are at Louipa Virtual Solutions. I'm throwing technology around this morning. But yeah.
It's good. We got there in the end.
Yes.
A few technicals, but we got there in the end. That's the most important thing.
Monday morning. It's all good.
Good morning.
Beautiful sunshine. Beautiful clouds down here.
Yeah. We've had such great weather, and it's only April, so thinking it's going to be a pretty good summer by the looks of things.
I'm ready for summer, I have to say. I feel like I'm missing the seaside and the beach, which I've discovered is my thing. Just be by the sea.
I know, I love the seaside as well. Absolutely love the seaside.
I was actually due to take a trip to Bournemouth just about 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, but obviously, so I'm excited for to be reunited with Bournemouth at some point in the future.
Morning. Is that Esther? Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, no, I love the seaside as well, so can't wait for when we get to go back out again properly and we can enjoy summer to its fullest.
Yes. Oh gosh.
No, we'll give it a couple of minutes. We'll wait for a few more people to jump on, and then we'll get right into it. Oh. Good morning. How's everyone doing? You working from home? What are you up to today?
The early bird catches the worm.
It's true. I am trying my best to be more of an early bird these days, and just be up to enjoy a longer day, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, no, we'll see how it goes. I'm more of a night owl, so it's a big change. Just trying to get that 8 hours in, and at the same time be up so you guys and do everything that you need to do.
Hi, Giovanna. Good morning.
Good morning.
We're here with the coffee.
It's one of the most important items in the morning.
I do not operate without my coffee. Giovanna is like, who have I become? There was only I only started drinking coffee about 3 or 4 years ago.
Good morning, Giovanna. What are you up to?
Oh.
What's your plans for the day? Okay, so we're at 10 past. Shall we just get started?
Sounds good. Think? Yes. Oh, I just have to say, apologies for the quarantine here. As you can see, quarantine here is becoming real. Yes,
okay. We'll let you off the hook. Okay, so this morning we are going to be chatting around pretty much all things Instagram, because we know that it's one of the in things at the moment. If you're an online business, you need to be on a social media platform, and Instagram is right up there with the other platforms. But we just wanted to just break it down a little bit more so that basically anyone, anywhere, can pick it up and begin to use it for whatever their venture is. So we're just going to chat around, some questions, and then we're going to give answers just based on our experience and what we do week to week or day to day with Instagram. And the reason I wanted to do this with Leanne is because I have known Leanne for 12 years. It's about 12 years, hasn't it?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So I've known her for 12 years, and even going back in the day, remembering when just the things that we're doing separately were just dreams or things that we just chatted about. And like you used to talk about being an author and starting all these different things, and I had so many big dreams. But it's good to actually see people stepping out and actually actioning and making their dreams a reality. So just really excited to do this with Leanne. And the other reason, so the reason number one is because I've got a long track record with you, so I know you and I know that you're the real deal. And then the second reason is basically when I look at your social media platforms, especially Instagram and what you're doing with Frame Your World Company and Tailor Made Social, and your personal Instagram as well. So you've got, I think, 3 different things on the go. They are all clean, catchy, and consistent. If I had picked 3 words out of them: clean, catchy,
Wow.
very consistent
Thank
with
you.
your social media. So I am here to learn as well as much as possible from Leanne, and I will be taking notes. But I think just to kick us off, I think first question always has to be like the why. Okay, so the why behind why you are going to choose a specific platform, because you need to have goals for each platform. Is that correct?
Yeah. It's a good question, and it's one that changes. I think it changes in marketing because you know, there was a period of time where I would be telling businesses to, you know, just pick one platform. That advice has probably slightly changed and moved as we move towards this online culture and this kind of virtual community. But I guess Instagram is great because it is one of the main reasons Instagram started as the kind of platform where you could share your images, and it was about photographs and art, and it wasn't like you had to put a lot of thought into perhaps captions and putting the pressure on people. They could just share their art, share their photography, and it's kind of grown into a community quite fast. That incorporates that, you know, that there's the comments, there's the conversation, and there's the community. Instagram is fantastic for anyone who wants to express themselves, and that's really what it began with, you know, express themselves in terms of art and using imagery and video now. But also, if you've got a product, if you're a business, if you've got a product or a service, then it's a good way to package up what you do and show and connect with. You can connect with your audience and your reader. It's a good way to visually show them what you offer, because it's one thing to say with words that you are this person and you have this product or business, but it's another thing to show them. So it's a fantastic platform. Organically speaking, I mean, there's a lot to this. I could go really geeky and techy, but people might feel like it's difficult to grow organically these days on the channel, but I don't think that's a reason to not use Instagram, and I think it depends. You can you can still go viral, but it's just really good opportunity to take the pressure off and show what you do, I guess.
Really good. Would you recommend Instagram for every single type of business?
Probably not, no, because every business differs. So for TailorMade, when I'm at TailorMade Social and I'm talking with clients, like whilst if you can be on every platform, brilliant. I think it's got a benefit. It's got its benefits, but not everybody has that setup. Not everybody has that skill set or that capacity. So, in that case, I would then say, you know, one is better than none. So you kind of have to tailor down which platform your audience are going to be most likely on, or your customer base or your fan. Even if you've got a hobby and you're sharing interests, you know, where are those people? And that's kind of where I would start to tackle that idea.
Okay, really good. No, I find that quite helpful, but I think sometimes we just tend to be on a social media platform because everybody else is on that platform, and just maybe don't take the time to think about like our audience and where they might actually hang out, and actually even look at the type of business that we have. Because for instance, let's say if you were doing like you were a surgeon, you know, I don't know, maybe Instagram might not be the best platform for you. Maybe something like LinkedIn is where you would maybe find your clients or that sort of thing. So it's just being sensitive to those things. But the second thing that I wanted us to unpack is just how to plan content for Instagram. Can you talk us through what your process is and like give us a few hints and tips on that?
Yeah, sure. I love this section because I think if you don't plan, you plan to fail. I know it's a bit cliche, but I do believe that the one of the secret tips in marketing is to be able to plan. If you can be as um, proactive as possible in your content and your messaging and your tactics, you are able to then be reactive when things come up, and they do. So I personally am a fan of using an editorial calendar, and within that, I would look at I would probably sit down and do a kind of map out. This is what I would do with my clients and myself. But I guess I would look at the content buckets. So what are the buckets of content that you have that will be of interest to your sphere, your market, your customer audience base. And I use like 4 or 5 buckets to be able to pull from. If you fill those buckets with content and conceptions and topics and ideas that you know your customers are going to be interested in, or that it's important to your business to share, then that helps you in terms of finding content going forward. But of course, within that, you've got a calendar, and I would, depending on how many platforms you have, I highly recommend in having some kind of schedule, or where you can then map out your content for each each piece of channel, and with that, then you would take that, of course, scheduling content, you would take that into something like Hootsuite or Buffer, where you could, I mean, if you can upload with Buffer, I think you can get 3 channels for free, and then you would have to pay to add your channels. So, and I think it's 2 or 3. It's changed with Hootsuite, so I think it might only be 2. But if you've only got 2 platforms, perfect. And what these tools do, they help you to be able to take that content that you've planned in advance. I'm a big fan of batching, which I know you are too, Louisa. So once you've batched that content on your calendar and you've mapped that out, you can take that into Hootsuite or Buffer and schedule it so that that will automatically go in the time slot that you set for the next however long you want. And that way you don't have to worry about feeling creative every day and having to produce all this content, or also just the stress and the time that it can take to perhaps go in and upload it. You can upload it into these in Hootsuite or Buffer and make it go to 3, 4, 5 different platforms if that's what you have. So that's my tips for scheduling.
That's cool. I kind of want to go back a little bit and just talk about the buckets again.
Yeah.
You talked about content buckets. Can you give us an example of what a bucket would look like?
Now, I have to say a disclaimer, because this may be slightly different to how I would use it in terms of marketing, but this is my own adopted approach. So content buckets for me are thinking about, it can get a bit confusing, so let me try and keep it as simple as possible. There's different levels of this as well, but for the purpose of today, I'm talking about things like, on Monday, I'm going to, if you take it right back down to one thing in each bucket, you might have, because you've got different purposes for creating content: brand awareness, conversion, you want people to buy from you or to buy into your service, and so I would suggest that we don't get carried away with all that right now, but we'll look at content buckets in terms of, okay, on Monday, maybe I am a shoe owner, I make shoes and I'm selling shoes. Maybe on a Monday I'll talk about, in really simple terms, trainers. On a Monday I want to talk about the history of trainers. Maybe on Tuesday I'll talk about the business updates. Maybe on Wednesday I'll talk about I'll share a customer testimonial, so it's a way to break down the interest of the content that you want to put out, if that makes sense.
Brilliant. No, it makes sense. So let's say, for instance, you were creating content. So maybe like on one day you can talk about like blogging, and then a separate day you can talk about, I don't know, maybe social media posts, and then the next day, but just sort of categorizing basically what your posts are. and
Yeah.
then that way it makes it easier for you to create them
Yeah.
and plan them ahead, if that makes sense.
Yes. That is perfect. And just I've just seen piece by piece, Grace joined. Hello, Grace. Welcome. Good morning.
Hello.
So yeah, like I guess
Does
like
anyone have any questions as well so far? I was gonna say.
has we
Any
haven't seen
questions?
any questions in the chat yet, but if anyone has any, please feel free to drop them in to the comment below, and we'll get started.
Okay, we'll move on to the next segment, and the next thing I want us to maybe focus on is graphics or images. Okay, because
Yes.
I love when I'm scrolling through Instagram, I actually love to like look at like Leanne McDuff and Frame Your World, and just to see like what like the color schemes and just the way that you've laid everything out is just brilliant. So can you talk us through like images and just what your creative process is for that?
That's a really good question, and one that's a bit tricky to answer because I studied art at school, so art was actually my best grade at school. It was not, and actually it didn't even. I think I failed graphic design, which was hilarious, because I guess I do it now. But I've kind of self-taught and learned along the way. I love color. I love expressing myself through visual pieces of content, and I guess my creative process. So I really try to stick to that idea of batching when I'm feeling creative. I usually end up creating a bunch of like different images or GIFs or media pieces at once. Normally, I guess I like to use a mix between Adobe Photoshop. There's a few. I use the Adobe Suite to help me pull those images together. But I'm a big fan of those who might not feel that they are perhaps it's they're not graphic designers. Then I always recommend, and I do mess around with Canva. Canva is really good for businesses and entrepreneurs that are just starting out or small businesses because you've got preset templates that you can just mix around.
Yeah.
And then I guess, I just try to be as expressive. I think it's important to be unique, and so I'm trying to make sure I stay. Oh, did that? Yeah, I'm trying to stay. I just realised I think I've joined. That's all right. I think I've joined the live with my personal Instagram account. That's funny. That's funny.
We're all good. We'll download it.
That's all good. Morning. Yeah, see, this is what happens. You don't do anything without coffee. And I'm creative, so as you can tell, it's easy to go off on a tangent. I highly recommend Canva because Canva's really good. It's got the templates there. They've actually got some, maybe using Pinterest actually. Another thing that I do is sometimes I'll collate Pinterest boards that'll just give me an idea of colour schemes that I like, pictures that I think go together. There's no right or wrong, I guess. It's just what, I like to think beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So, collating what you think is important, what expresses you and your business, using Pinterest, using Canva, if you can use Adobe.
Yeah, I use Canva because I'm not at your level, but the more you use it, like the better you become. Like it just becomes second nature using it. So yes, I highly recommend that if you can invest in Canva just to start with. Yeah, and you can add different people like onto it as well, so you can have teams. If that's something that you don't want to personally do, you can delegate to someone else. But yes, definitely, I am a big Canva fan. We do have a question.
I see. Giovanna?
Yes, and Giovanna's asking, how do you manage to stay unique but still relevant in the platform?
Oh, good question. So, how would I answer that question? I think to try, it's important to just be reminded of just to be authentic to ourselves, to be honest, because it's quite easy in this culture to go on and look at others and think that looks amazing and feel that level of comparison. But and believe me, I've had the experience, but I think I've tried to really hone it back, especially in this period of lockdown where I've been able to really, in my own head, because it's different if I'm doing it for a client or I'm working with companies, but for my own brands, I guess, I've become really clear in what I want to express and then what I want people to get from my platforms, whether that's inspiration, whether that's news about my novel, whether that's here's my new designs on Frame Your World. So I think it's important just to have that kind of reflection and actually not be afraid to post something. Sometimes I hope that helps. Like, as long as you feel like it's authentic to who you are, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think I did a course recently, and it was more on like niching and branding.
Yeah.
So how do you sort of drill down into like what sort of target market that you're looking for, or you're looking to obviously hone in on? And basically, the course was teaching us that you need to just basically what you're saying, be true to yourself. So being true to yourself even just goes down to even the colors that you're using, the fonts that you use for like different graphics, and whatever. Like, make sure, like, don't choose something because everybody else is using that,
Yeah.
and because it's popular, because at the end of the day you will end up changing that in future. So just try and think about like fonts that you like, and even colors that are like true to your, like, to yourself. Like, if you like, for instance, blues and like reds, that sort of thing, like you need to incorporate that into your brand, because you will always gravitate towards that and creating that. And even what's this, being true to yourself is just yeah, it's part of like creating your overall brand. So rather than having a business, if you manage to really like nail that, like it will translate into you creating like a brilliant brand. For instance, I'll give Leanne as an example. Leanne was talking earlier on about how she loves like the seaside, and even like different little coffee shops, and she'll take different like snippets and that. So whenever I see that, like I'll be reminded of, oh, like Leanne's pictures at the beach, or Leanne in Bournemouth, and that sort of thing. So she's true to herself and she puts what she loves up. That helps her like separate her from other creatives and other print companies and other, I hope that makes sense, because like I struggle with the same thing, Giovanna, because I'm just like, I'm a social media manager and a content manager, but there's so many of those out there and so many virtual assistants. Like, how do I differentiate myself? But it's just picking what's unique to me, and then what can I relate, what can I sort of project out there, so that people can actually see my personality and like who I am and the way that I like to work and do things, if that makes sense.
I was also going to say, I missed this out when you asked about the creative process, and I guess in this question, but like when it comes to branding as well, I think picking between, I mean, you can pick two colours. I mean, pick maybe anything between 3 and 5 colours, and like use that Pinterest board to kind of gather what you like and what kind of best represents yourself, and then try and kind of stick to that. I think the branding is important because, especially now more than ever, it's telling your story. It's allowing people to identify you, like Louisa just said. I'm glad that comes through. I tried to, that people are able to identify, oh, that person is associated with this. But I also have a big being up on it with it when it comes.
Do we have any more? Well, you guys can just put them in the comment section for us if you've got any questions as we go. I've actually just got one last question for us to explore, and this is basically, how do you generate like engagement?
Brilliant, Giovanna. I'm glad that helped. How do we generate engagement? I think by being authentic. I know that sounds quite cliche, but by being authentic is definitely asking people questions. So there's a couple of things you can, if we're talking about Instagram or we're talking about captions, actually, I highly recommend. Some studies show that photos that are of real people, that are not too over filtered. I mean, if depends what your purpose is, but genuine pictures using captions that perhaps ask a question. So you can either ask your audience to respond in the comments below and get that engagement, foster up that engagement, ask them to double tap on the heart if they agree with you. I guess just make the content interesting, but it's a trial and test. It's testing.
Yeah.
What matters to you, what works for you, and then what does your audience respond with and relate with. So it's a tough one, to be honest, because Instagram is high, like it's the algorithm, the way the algorithm's set up now, you kind of need to have some sort of paid budget to definitely noticed a drop in the organic reach across Facebook channels over the last year. It's not new, it's like it's been expected to come for a while, but I do find if you have a product business, then I highly recommend, even if you just try testing some paid ads with your most engaged with posts, and you can find that out through going into insights, and then just promote it, boost it for say £2 for like 3 days and see what happens. It's not a big cost to you, then that way you can trial and see, and you'll find, if you, my tip here as well when it comes to paid social, and I know I've gone off the script a bit, because technically engagement, if you want any high level of engagement, it's either going to take time and you just got to persevere and test and see what works for you, or also putting some money behind it. And just one thing to bear in mind, Instagram, Facebook, all these platforms, their goal is for you to stay on their platform. So if you're going to run any campaign, you've got to think about the fact that they want you on the platform. So they want to see, they want you to see, if you're going to promote something, try and keep them within that platform. So send them to your profile or something like that, because you will notice a difference. And that is, again, comes back to the business objectives of the platforms.
Okay, no, that's really, really good. I actually was going to touch on insights and like what the importance of like you regularly having a look at your insights will benefit you.
Yeah. I don't actually do that a lot with my brands, but occasionally with like Fin Your World and stuff. But yeah, definitely highly recommend checking in and seeing what people engage with.
Responding to the most. I tend to do that with clients quite a lot. Just going back, even before going into like progress meetings, and just looking at the insights and just say, okay, what posts did people like the most? Why did they like it? Can we recreate that for the following week? Like I think it's definitely beneficial, because then you even see like what times you get the biggest response. All those things kind of add up, so it doesn't hurt to actually become familiar with the insights section within Instagram or Facebook.
It's so true, and you get so much information from insights, which is great. So definitely make use of that. I don't know if you've also used Creative Studio, which is part of, so they've kind of grown out the Facebook Business Manager, and added Creative Studio, which is basically your insights on your desktop. So you can access your insights for Instagram on the desktop.
Right.
But they have a couple of features there that are even more granular than what you would get on your app.
Okay.
So I highly recommend that, because if you want to find out, like for example, what time of the day, it's a lot more. They have like it's kind of like a heat map, I guess, where it shows you exactly what points in the day, for example, your audience is on, because you want to also think about that as well. I guess to engage with your audience, you want to think about when they're on, most likely. So maybe tailor your posts to those high activity and traffic moments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not know that, so definitely I've taken note, and we'll be looking into Creative Studio.
Got loads of wee tips and tricks.
Well, that's all I had in terms of just questions to work through. Does anyone have any questions that they specifically would like to ask?
And thank you so much.
Hey, Claire. Good to see you.
Hello. It's been fun.
Hey, Fumbi.
Gosh, guys are doing well being up this early on a Monday.
I know, right? It's always good. Well, if we don't have any questions just now, you guys, please feel free to direct message them to us. Oh, we've got one.
Would you use Linktree? I do. I think it's there's a couple of other ones out there as well, and I just use the free one, but I think it's helpful personally. You want to make it as easy as possible for people to kind of travel to your different platforms, if that's if you own a business or if you have content you want people to see, because of course Instagram is restricted on just that kind of one link, so make the most of it, I would say. Oh gosh, we didn't even get to Instagram shopping. It's so good. I love Instagram. It's a great platform.
We can do a part 2. If we need to, we can do a part 2.
Sounds good.
Any other questions?
Oh, thanks, Claire.
Thank you.